This week on the RV Podcast.
7 reasons why you need to do a fall camping trip.
Should you use cruise control when you're towing an RV?
A woman in Georgia dropped off her RV for repair. When she picked it up, she found it trashed because squatters had been living in it.
If you're in elk country, give them a wide berth because it's mating season and they can become extremely aggressive.
All this, plus the RV news of the week, and your questions coming up in episode 463 of the RV Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer. Hello, my dear.
Hello, Michael.
And back there somewhere is our dog, Bo, who's keeping watch or taking a nap, as the case may be. Just a quick reminder that you can watch a video version of the RV Podcast on our RV Lifestyle YouTube channel. There's a player that you can find at rvlifestyle.com or just go straight to YouTube. And if you prefer an audio-only podcast, you can hear us through your favorite podcast app or listen through a player that's embedded into the show notes for every one of these episodes. You can find that at rvlifestyle.com/podcast. So happy September, everybody.
I love September. September, October, November, I think are my favorite months of the year.
We are going to talk about that in the topic of the week coming up. We put together 7 reasons why you need to go on a fall camping trip. But we absolutely love this time of year. The weather's still warm. Mm-hmm. Nights are
a little cooler, usually a little cooler.
You don't have to run the AC at night in much of the country. And the crowds aren't there. And you'll hear all the other reasons why a camping trip is so great. We are off on a camping trip this week, which will be kind of a 3-week adventure for us. We're doing a big rally down in Elkhart, Indiana, and then we're going to do some lakeside camping on a fall family camping trip. We're going to follow our own advice.
And it's going to be great fun.
Yeah, it is. So September and October are our favorite months for camping, and we think we can convince you of that in this podcast. So stay with us on that. We do have some feedback to share, and I should point out that we love to get feedback from you, comments or questions. You can send them to us at our private email address, which is mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com. What do we got this week?
Okay, from Gary. Hey there. As children, our family had 3 different RVs touring the Midwest and West Coast. I decided to purchase a Class C and expose my family to some fun and excitement. Nothing better than jumping in the RV and driving, pulling over whenever it's time for a beer. We don't make reservations unless it's beach camping in Southern California. Then it's a must. Driving around Nevada, Arizona, California, Utah, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, there's always hundreds of mom and pop Sleepy Hollow RV parks tucked away along the path. One stands out called Friendly RV Park in Weed, California, which isn't so friendly. Laminated signs everywhere. They hate children and pets. Even asking you to take pics of poop and its owner and submitting them at the office. Wow. Anyway, that's the worst place we have encountered in 9 years of RVing. In my opinion, it's better than traveling by plane or car. More fun and gives us time to bond with the kids. It's a learning experience. Plus, it's a blast.
And you get lots of stories like the unfriendly, friendly RV park. Well, I'm sure there's a reason for those signs. And I think that if you ran an RV park for a while, Gary, you'd be tempted to get pretty aggressive in saying, don't do that. And there's nothing that gives campers a worse name than people who don't pick up after their dogs. So I know that the signs can be disconcerting, but my sympathies go to the park owner.
I'm thinking of a place that we often camp at.
I know where you're thinking of.
And I'm not going to say the name, but there are all these signs, and it's really pretty funny. But I give mercy to people who own parks, and they've owned them for a long time, and they're getting up in age, and they're just tired of stepping and doo-doo.
You know, I would love to do a story in which we could get a park to let us come in and be kind of like
Hiding behind trees?
well, kind of like not hidden camera, but kind of like maybe volunteer host or something, but where we could actually expose all of the stuff that people do that give everybody a bad name, from burning plastic in trash pits and not cleaning up after. I think, my sympathies go a lot to the park owners.
And I'm thinking about a person that I met who used to be a camp host, and she said they got sick of it because she was sick of pulling dirty diapers out of the fire pit.
People would put dirty diapers in the fire.
They're not going to burn.
Oh
Plus
my
you shouldn't burn
gosh.
plastic, and that's just not what you do with them.
Well, anyway, thanks for your feedback, Gary. And I'm glad that overall your experience has been great.
Yes, that's true.
We got this note from Despina. You want to share what Despina had to say for us?
Okay, Despina says, in case no one else has recommended this podcast field trip to you, I thought I would. As you drive from one place to another, you will enjoy listening to this fantastic podcast. It's a journey through the past and the future of Yosemite, Glacier, Everglades, White Sands, and gates of the Arctic National Parks. The Washington Post reporter, Lillian Cunningham's excellent description of the parks create a visual picture as you listen. Hopefully you and Jennifer will find it as fascinating as Peter and I did.
Thank you, Despina. There used to be an app called Field Trip, and I had it. It was really a fun app. It was kind of an immersive, if you were in a park or certain area, they had different trips, you could play it, and as you drove, it told you what you were seeing and the history. Alas, that app has apparently been discontinued. When I checked Field Trip last, I came up with an app that is for psychedelic drugs. Telling you how to get high on mushrooms and things like that. So it's not an app that Despina is writing about. It is an actual podcast. So you can do a search under your favorite podcast app for Field Trip and find out what she's talking about. But watch out for the app called Field Trip because unless, psychedelic mushrooms are your things, that's not what I'm recommending. So anyway, thanks to Despina for sharing that. Speaking of Sharon, we are almost at 220,000 members now on our RV Lifestyle Facebook group, and it has turned into this encyclopedic rich resource for RVing with any question, any comments. Sometimes it is not unusual for our comments to get 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 comments when people ask questions. And one of the reasons why that our Facebook group is so popular is because we have this great team of moderators who kind of keep the crazies away and the spammers and the complainers and all the people who, will steal your joy just because that's what they like to do. Wendy Boyer is one of those moderators, and she does a weekly report called Social Media Buzz for us. And she's got some of the hot issues that people were talking about this week on the RV Lifestyle Facebook group.
Hi, everybody. One post that really got people talking this week was from Marilyn. Marilyn asked, when towing, should I use cruise control? Well, there were more than 435 comments on this, and they were all over the place with answers. Some said yes, use it all the time. Others said no, never use it. But when you really broke it down, it seemed to be a lot dependent upon what type of conditions you were driving in. Flat surface, not a lot of congestion, absolutely use it. But if you're in wet or snowy roads, hilly or mountainous roads, a lot of congestion around, maybe think twice. It was an interesting post, and it certainly gave Marilyn lots to think about. Next, I'd like to share with you a post that's more of a warning from Frederick. And his warning was what he called a massive Google Maps fail. So what happened? Well, Frederick was driving from Dallas to a place in Oklahoma. And he said he thought it was a straight shot. So instead of using RV Life Trip Wizard, which he normally does, he decided to just plug in Google Maps on his phone. Well, as he's described it, huge mistake. He's started out driving on a paved normal road, and then the next thing you know, he was on a gravel road, then it became a dirt road, there were branches overhead hitting against his RV, and then it just ended at a water crossing. So he had to turn his travel trailer around with his truck, get back to pavement. He said it was about 12 miles off course. And so he posted this as a warning to everybody. And many said they had had similar Google Maps failed, and many others appreciated it. And then the last thing I'd like to share with you today is also a tip from experience, and this one's from Angie. Angie said her tip was, if you get a flat in one of your travel trailer tires, replace them all. So Angie, she was speaking from experience because she found herself recently standing at the side of the highway trying to keep the traffic away from her husband and his friends while they were changing their second flat tire on their travel trailer. She said that they didn't have any cones to kind of keep the traffic away, and she thought she could jump out of the way easier than he could when he's bent over on the travel tire. And so another suggestion she had was to carry something like orange cones should this happen to you. So her post got a lot of people talking, hundreds and hundreds. And some, like Misty, said that they had had 2 travel trailer tires go flat on the same day. And others said that they love the idea about the cones. In fact, one reader, Suzanne, she said that they carry reflective vests, safety triangles, and flares should they ever find themselves in such a situation. So lots of people appreciated that post, and like David said, this is certainly giving us something to think about. And that is it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I'll see you over at the RV Lifestyle Facebook group.
I look forward every week to hearing the highlights of what everybody's been talking about and sharing them with all of you. And such a simple little thing like having orange cones or flares or those triangles or something handy, because chances are somewhere out there you're going to get a flat tire, you're going to break down, and boy, you need all the help you can get.
Yeah, I'm on that Facebook group probably a half dozen times a day. Whenever I get a chance, I'll jump in and test it, check it out. But it just amazes me how much information is there and valuable tips, things that we forget or that we didn't know. Well, Wendy will be back next week with more, but if you're not a member, you can join the Facebook group. Just go to rvlifestyle.com/Facebook. All right, you ready to talk about fall camping?
Uh-huh.
Well, we'll do so right after this. As you may know, Jennifer and I bought some land near Nashville, Tennessee. Now, for us, it was the antidote to crowded, expensive campgrounds and the end of worrying about reservations. It's a gorgeous area with friendly people, and it has been such a pleasure. The same developer has some new property in horse country coming up near us for sale September 2nd. It's called the Reserve at High Forest. Big properties, 5 to 67 acres. You can build a house, a cabin, or RV year-round. Prices start at $89,900. It is your property, your way, 100% ownership. And the scenery in this part of Tennessee, it's breathtaking. Garden, landscape, bring your pets, build what you want. There's high-speed internet, and it is so private. It's a great place to make your home base, ready whenever you want it. They're selling these September 2nd by appointment, 5 to 67 acre properties from $89,900. There's great financing and big discounts on multi-lot packages. For information, visit rvlands.net. That's rvlands.net. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's time now for our topic of the week, and it's one, as we said at the beginning of the program, is very near and dear to our hearts, and that is fall camping. We start looking forward to fall camping every spring. Every spring.
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. There was a report that millennials have a high interest in participating in fall camping, and that 40% of them say that they're definitely going to do an RV trip in the fall.
I wonder how that compares to all RVers in general. I mean, did you ever check that out? I think
Well, 78% of people plan on going camping.
78% of the RVers
all
say
RVers say they're going to go camping. 40% of millennials, that's just kind of surprising, but
Yeah.
78 of everybody out there that camps.
Well, that is the fastest growing segment, not the biggest segment, but it's getting there. But it's not. It's the fastest growing millennials, and that makes sense because they're coming into age where they can afford to camp, or maybe they can get an RV, and then there's things like the whole van life movement that began. But that's pretty good. 78% of everybody says they're going to go fall camping. Well, if you're not in there, we want to convince you why you should. Because there are so many reasons. And of with Labor Day now over, we've officially entered the fall camping season. And there are so many things that this season has going for it. I think my favorite one was when we did, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes, a video we did on fall color in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Remember that?
Oh, it was so beautiful, so delightful.
Now, in fact, already, this is the first week of September with this podcast being released. Already, the trees are starting to turn up in the UP. But this the last fall color trip we did, I think it was the year before last. Do you remember we were crossing the Mackinac Bridge, which separates Michigan's Upper and Lower Peninsula? Do you remember what happened?
Oh, yeah, there was fog so
it
thick
was,
you couldn't see anything.
But it was like, it was perfect up to the bridge.
Yep.
You got on the bridge and bam, there was this fog bank.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't see a thing.
And as soon as you drove the 5 miles across the Mackinac Bridge,
it was clear again.
I mean, just like a curtain. It's just the curtain raised. And it was perfectly clear. And we camped that night at Straight State Park in St. Ignace.
That's one of my favorite places to camp because it's right next to the bridge and you can see the lights at night and walk the shoreline. It's fun.
You can take your dog, as long as it's on a leash, on the beach, which is really unusual in many beaches.
Yes.
But I remember we pulled in and we went to the beach and we looked and you could see that fog bank because the cold water of the Straits of Mackinac under the bridge with the warm air of September, and it had created that fog bank, and it was really unusual. It was a lot of fun. I thought we'll have to put a link to that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that fog bank, and then just thinking about weather in general when you cross over the bridge. Yeah. Usually there's snowstorms. Usually there's something in the winter. It's rarely is it uneventful to cross the bridge.
We are so excited about fall camping because it kind of coincides with a couple of things. One, of course, it's just easier to camp in the fall than it is any other time. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then we have the Halloween season, which has become a major no vacancy type event for campgrounds around the country. They all seem to be having Halloween parties, and they go every weekend.
You can't even get in a park, most of them, in the month of October. They are booked solid, and Halloween people have so much fun. The kids dress up, the dogs dress up, people pass out candy, people pass out treats for the dogs. Yeah. It's just a party, a festive time.
In fact, we can confess, remember last year we went to Addison Oaks County Park, one of our favorite parks. It's in Michigan. It's up in Oakland County, Michigan. And we at that time we had a Sticks and Bricks house not far from there. And we just went to the park to take Bo for a walk and followed everybody around as they were trick-or-treating at all of the different RVs. And it was so much fun.
It didn't take Bo long to figure out that some people were giving out dog treats. He was all in.
Bo was all in for Halloween. He went a costume this year.
Yeah.
One thing that we have noticed is that fall tree color is not always the same. And I know you were looking into some of that.
Yeah, I decided to check that out. Have you ever wondered why some falls the colors are so awesome and other years they seem not to be so awesome? Well, after checking into that, did a little digging from the U.S. Forest Service, we found out that why the leaves are more brilliant sometimes than other times. It's according to the weather.
Now, I always thought it was the amount of sunlight, and when fall starts, the sunlight is not quite so strong, but it's the weather, huh?
Yeah, so warm, sunny days and cool, crisp nights, but not freezing. If it freezes, you're going to lose those leaves. Bring the most spectacular color, and you say, why? And sugars are produced in the leaves during the day, but in the cool evenings, the veins of the leaves gradually close, which prevent the sugar from moving out. So this process, that's why you get the brilliant colors.
So that's why sugar maples are so brilliant. We have a couple in our yard,
we have
in our
several
Michigan property.
That are awesome. We had somebody doing some work on our propane tank, and he took a picture of one of our trees and said it was a screensaver because he thought it was so beautiful, and it was that beautiful.
Now, what about things like drought and moisture in the soil? That has an effect as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, the amount of moisture also affects everything. Late spring or severe summer drought can delay the beginning of fall colors by a few weeks. A warm fall can also lower the intensity of the colors. and a warm, wet spring, good summer weather, warm, sunny fall days with cool nights produce the best displays. This is
Well-
according to the U.S. Forest Service.
Yep. Well, they should know. They are the
should
Forest
know.
Service. Well, let's go over we kind of put down 7 reasons why we think everybody should go camping in the fall. And I know it's hard. Some of you, particularly I think of our friends, our school teachers who have all summer off to travel, but once summer comes, it's really hard for them to
When they
get
get
time
back, the
off.
fall comes and they got to get back to school.
But for the rest of you, if you can get away, whether it's just for a weekend or better yet, during the week, we've got 7 reasons why fall is the best time, I think, to go camping. And the first is just what we said, color.
Color. I know I hate going south. I don't like going different places. I want to see those fall colors where you have the seasons.
Where and normally those are in hardwoods. You know, when you get down into Alabama, South Georgia, there's some color and they have the oaks and stuff, but really it's the middle part of the country and north where you see the best. And of course out west you get the spectacular yellows from the aspens, but it is the color. And in Michigan and the Adirondacks, it's those bright reds and oranges and golds,
And
greens still. Yeah.
I got to say, the lack of crowds. You know, if you go during the week,
That's reason
weekdays-
number 2.
I know, I should have said that. Reason number 2, the lack of crowds. That's just so nice. Usually you can get better spots.
So our advice is, because weekends fill up, because we're not the only ones, 48% or 78% people say they're going to go camping. So weekends are still going to be filled. But if you can get there Sunday afternoon through Friday, you're not going to have nearly the problems of getting a great campsite as you do during the summertime. So fewer crowds because the kids are in school. And so, you know, you have a lot more open spaces and fewer neighbors, more nature that you can enjoy. It's all good. What's number 3?
All right, number 3 is the weather. Normally in the fall, it's not so hot. And the evenings are cool and pleasant. Usually less humidity means good sleeping weather. Maybe you don't even have to turn on the AC.
And there's no bugs. Well, but there might be a few moths. You might see
That's
some
number
moths.
4.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Number 4, lack of bugs. That's right. But you might see moths. You see moths until really a frost hits. But the mosquitoes, black flies, what else?
We don't need to say any more. Just the black flies and mosquitoes. Those
Gnats?
those
Yeah.
pesky insects.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're going to miss all those.
Yeah. And people always say, you know, our favorite place for winter, summer, spring, fall is Michigan's Upper Peninsula. In the summer, for at least June and July, and even into well into August, you've got black flies and then mosquitoes the size of small airplanes. And those problems go away as soon as it starts to get cool in the fall.
And I know it's not just Michigan. You know, we've been to New York, Alaska, lots of places, those bugs.
Yeah, it's not
You know,
just Michigan.
Yep. They're out. It's their prime time.
All right, so bugs is number 4. What's number 5?
Number 5 is it's easier to see the night sky. You don't need to stay up so late at night. You can, it's dark earlier, so you don't have to stay up till midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning.
We've been known to stay up till 10:30, 11 o'clock sometimes. We are party animals, as you can tell.
So getting dark earlier, it just lets you enjoy the sky, the night sky.
Yeah, and you know, I've gotten into taking Milky Way photos, and you can start taking those. They're about 11 o'clock at night is when they go in the fall, and if you're in the summer, you gotta stay up till 2, 3 in the morning to really get those nice nighttime sky photos, if you like. So that's number 5. What did we say for number 6?
Number 6 is it's often less expensive. Often campsites cost less because it's off season, especially during the week. Now, weekends, just like hotel rooms, the price can likely go up.
Now, when we first started this RV lifestyle about a dozen years ago, everything was really quiet from September on, and many campgrounds even closed earlier. Now they stay open till the middle of October, in cold places, end of October and most of the rest of the place. But it was really cheap because there weren't that many people going. Now, weekends, like you said, they go up, but it is less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the touristy prices in the towns are down as well because it's not the height of tourist season, so you get kind of like local shopping prices, which is good.
A lot of places, a lot of stores that are going to close up for the winter have markdowns.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. You
They
get
want to
that
clean
clearance.
out their merchandise, like
Yep.
Mackinac Island, which basically shuts down the end of October. They have some great sales.
Used
up
to
there.
love going in that woman's clothing shop
Yes.
on the island. And you'd get your whole wardrobe for the year
Yep,
there.
I've been known to do that.
All right, so that's 6. The number 7 reason why fall camping should be in your plans this year.
Special fall activities. We've, depending upon where you camp, and many campgrounds have these special activities in the fall, create opportunities that you can only do in the fall, like picking apples, these hay rides. I guess you could do that any time of the year, but apples and apple cider. And if you take the grandkids or your kids, they have like Halloween costumes to decorate the dog. Just lots of life in the park.
Now, I said there's no bugs, but at apple orchards, you'll find bees. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We love apple orchards. In fact, we're going to one in just a couple of weeks to do some apple picking. It's just about apple season. Remember, the last time we did it, we were shooting a promotional video for, was it Camping World that was doing a profile on us? They were shooting it on us.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent this whole film crew, and they wanted us to go to an apple orchard. So we all went to this apple orchard, and Bo was with us. And Bo, they didn't know this, but Bo loves apples. So he kept grabbing
That
apples.
boy will
from
take you
everybody.
down for an apple. Some dog's a hot dog or hamburger meat, but Bo loves his apples.
So apple orchards in western Michigan, where we are now, it becomes grape season. So there's a big grape harvest, and there's a lot of wineries up and down the coast, the left coast, as we call it, of Michigan, the Lake Michigan shoreline. Great fruit there that you can pick up, and wineries and tours and apple orchards. So we're just giving you a quick feel of all the places we've mentioned. And I know we're mentioning Michigan a lot because Michigan is just beautiful in the fall. But the Adirondacks, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, Wyoming, Montana. It gets a little more yellowy, but the colors in the fall and the crisp air, just get out there and turn. And then middle of October, down south, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Carolinas, of course, the Smokies, Missouri and the Ozarks. All of that is spectacular. The golden wheat fields of Kansas in the fall are spectacular. Didn't we do a cattle drive in Kansas in the fall?
We did, and I don't think I've ever had so much fun in my life.
Yeah. And this, we'd show you where it was, but they quit taking. They used to have RV spots, and we did a gathering there actually.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe somebody else will do those someplace again. But that was really fun. But all those, Colorado, I didn't mention Colorado, Utah, Arizona, everybody has spectacular fall stuff. But for us, it's the big color. And we're going to put a link in the show notes for this episode of our Fall UP color tour. And we'll show you that fog bank on the Mackinac Bridge that we crossed, and you can find that. It'll be in the show notes for this episode, rvlifestyle.com/podcast, and check it out. So bottom line, get out there and do some fall camping, right? Mm-hmm. We are leaving Friday to start our 3-week series, and then we've got really all the way through the end of October. We've got a big trip that we're doing. We're doing a rally next week, a family camping trip on some lakefront land in Indiana. After that, then we've got our the first week of October, our RV Lifestyle Music City meetup in fall in Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. We're going to the Grand Ole Opry. After that, we've got kind of a gathering at the Woodlands, 90 miles west of Nashville, where we'll be hanging out with some of our friends who have bought RV property there. And then I think we can make our way slowly down into Florida and enjoy October on the beach, which is a spectacular time. Mm-hmm. So get out there and go camping. RV News of the Week that's coming up next. Stay with us.
We're asked what's the most important modification we made to our RV. It's an easy answer. Battle-born batteries. Battle-born batteries are quality, safe, reliable lithium batteries that allow us to stay out there off the grid longer. Lithium batteries charge faster, they charge fuller, they're longer lasting, they're maintenance free, and battle-born batteries are protected by a 10-year guarantee. Now, in our case, they just dropped into the existing AGM batteries that we have, and they'll probably be the same on your rig too. Battle-born battery experts can get those in your rig just like they did with ours. They can also match you up with the right cabling, the inverter, the charger, the solar controller, everything. Jennifer and I swear by our battle-born batteries. They allow us to boondock off the grid. Check them out. Go to rvlifestyle.com/lithium. rvlifestyle.com/lithium.
Welcome back, and now it's time for the RV news of the week.
Well, at least 10 Florida campgrounds in the path of Hurricane Idalia last week were closed temporarily, mostly because they lost electricity, but all are now open again. They opened up this week. So this is a lucky blow for the campgrounds. It didn't really hit them as hard as the previous hurricane did last year. Idalia was a Category 3. We were reporting it last week. It came ashore near Keaton Beach, about 75 miles southeast of Tallahassee. We were there last year at this time at Keaton Beach and watched the sunset there. I remember taking some great photos. They suffered in Cedar Key some damage. Our friends in Perry, Florida had some damage, but most of the campgrounds in the state didn't suffer serious harm. And overall, the Florida campground industry was extremely lucky. And all the surveys show that the campgrounds have pretty much reopened now. 15 state parks were closed. Most of those have been reopened now. And then, of course, Idalia swept across Georgia, South Carolina as a tropical storm, brought a lot of flooding and downed trees. All this is to remind you that we are still in hurricane season, tropical storm season, and it affects Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. So if you are in those areas, at least until November, make sure you pay particular attention to the weather forecast.
And now we've got a story of the poor woman in Georgia. She dropped off her 3-year-old travel trailer at Camping World in Woodstock in June for a broken heater and faucet repair. And then when she picked it up 2 months later...
Wait a minute. A broken water heater and a faucet repair took 2 months?
Yeah.
Apparently, huh? Wow.
When she picked it up 2 months later, the trailer was trashed. When she first opened the door of her travel trailer, she immediately smelled cigarette smoke, and that's not a good sign because nobody in her family smoked. And then she noticed trash was on the countertops, which she had left her trailer clean, and the bed linens were on the bed, which she didn't leave any bed linens on the bed. It was like somebody was sleeping there. And so then, she checked it out more, and she discovered some of her towels and camping gear were gone, missing. And the woman said it appeared someone had been living in her trailer while it was at the dealership for repairs. I think that's everybody's nightmare.
Oh, my goodness.
Camping World at first offered to pay for the damage, but then eventually they ended up buying her a new trailer, which I think sounds
They did
very
it right.
reputable.
Well, some of those RV dealer lots are so big, and they may put the ones waiting for repair could be way in the back, and probably nobody saw them.
Right.
But wow. Well, I'm glad that they settled up and bought her a new trailer. But she lost 2 months waiting for pretty simple repairs. Mm-hmm. Another reason why we tell everybody use RV mobile techs if you possibly can. You will get faster service and excellent service from them. So. Wow. Well, September, as we've been telling you, is here. And not only is it great camping season, but it's also time for bears and wildlife to be pretty active. Bears are starting to go on their eat-a-thon, their annual eat-a-thon, trying to put on as much as they can before their annual winter hibernation. And across bear country, federal officials from the Bureau of Land Management and the National Park Service all warning people, just be very bear aware, don't leave food out. The governor of Montana declared September to be Bear Aware Month. And in Lake Tahoe, experts were all over the news urging visitors to be safe when they're camping in bear country. But you have to really take particular care of it. And that's not all. There are other animals that you got to watch out for. And that's your story.
All right. Parts of the Rocky Mountain National Park are going to be closed certain times of the day from now until October 31st because this is the elk mating season, also called the rut. The park closes meadow areas in Horseshoe Park, Upper Beaver Meadows, Moraine Park, Harrisburg Meadows, Hawsworth Meadows from 5 p.m. until 10 a.m., strange hours, to keep the visitors from disturbing the elk.
Well, they do need a little privacy, please.
I was just thinking, 5 p.m. to 10 a.m.
Yeah, well, it's from dark,
Yeah.
but a lot of people will go out at sunset because you can always, the elk will come out and feed and you want to get pictures. But a big reason is these animals are extremely aggressive. Elk are. The female elk in the spring, early summer, spring, when their calves are born, and then the male elks during the rut. So they can be incredibly aggressive. So watch out for it. Now, what about other parts? There's a lot of that area is, hiking and fishing area.
Well, they had to close those areas too. You can't get back there fishing and get out of there in time, I guess they're figuring. So they just closed the fishing areas in the park.
All right. So there you go. Watch out for the wildlife. All right, we got an RV question for you that we'll answer right after this.
Are you ready to embark on an unforgettable adventure in your RV? Our RV Lifestyle Travel Guide ebooks are your ultimate companions for exploring North America's most breathtaking destinations. They'll help you hit the road with confidence and make the most out of your RVing experience. We're Mike and Jennifer Wendland, and we are passionate explorers and the authors of an entire library of RV travel guide ebooks. We have meticulously put together detailed travel maps showing you the best routes, where to stay, what hidden gems to discover along the way. From the majestic Yellowstone National Park to the vibrant colors of Colorado, the awe-inspiring beauty of Utah, the enchanting deserts of Arizona, the tranquil Great Lakes region, the pristine wilderness of the Adirondacks. We've even done a captivating 3-part guide to RV travel and camping in Florida. No matter where your wanderlust takes you, we've got you covered. Our curated list of must-see attractions ensures that you won't miss out on any unforgettable experiences. You want to witness the eruption of Old Faithful? We've got you covered. Craving an epic road trip through breathtaking landscapes? We've got the perfect route for you. Dreaming of beachside camping under the stars? We know the best spots. With our ebooks available for instant download at rvlifestyle.com/books, you can have the knowledge you need right at your fingertips. Head over to rvlifestyle.com/books and start exploring the wonders of North America today. Unforgettable adventures are waiting.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time now for our RV question of the week, and we remind you that we love to get your questions and your comments. You can reach us through our private email, which is mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com. What's our question this week?
Okay, from Ken and Pam. First off, let me say that my wife Pam and I love to watch your videos on YouTube. We are brand new campers in the early stages of retirement, and the info you share is so very helpful. We have a 21-foot Coachman Spirit travel trailer that we tow with our Chevy Colorado. We have only been out a couple of times since the starting a couple months back of their camping. Pam and I want to plan a trip out west from Kentucky, where we live, in late April or early May next year. We're trying to figure out just how to go from there and being able to stay in campgrounds along the way. Folks say you need to reserve your spots ahead of time, but if you don't know just how long you might stay in a location based on what's there to see, just how do you schedule and reserve ahead? Or do you just risk finding a place along the route? We are not boondockers by any stretch, so just pulling off the road somewhere may not work for us. We would love to hear what you have to say about our trip planning. We are also subscribers to the RV Life Pro and really like that app. And this is Keith and Pam.
Well, thank you, Keith and Pam. We love that app, too. We'll put a link to RV Life Pro. It's one of the ones we recommend. It really helps you find campgrounds. Well, that's a great question, and it's a question that we have struggled with because our preferred style of travel is serendipity. We hate making reservations.
We do, but, sometimes you just have to.
So I guess our suggestion would be you have to first determine how many miles you're going to go a day. And our recommendation, which is take it slow. Don't drive everything at once. Try not to go over 330 miles and or stop at 3:30 in the afternoon local time wherever you're going. That way you're not exhausted and you have time to see stuff. But so use RV Life Pro or any travel planning app and make a list of all the campgrounds around there.
We've even had people suggest that they only go like 220 miles.
Or even less sometimes.
Yeah, they just want to take their time and enjoy. You are retired, so put on your retired mindset and don't be too excited that here we go. We got to see it all in 30 days.
So you make a list of it. Make a reservation, obviously, your first night. And then you want to start looking at things you might want to see in the area. Research the area you're going to, and you might see there's like 4 or 5 things we want to see. Then that's a 3-night stay, maybe 3 or 4 night stay. So book that. But then you want to, as you continue along, you're going to be discovering new things. You're going to meet people in those campgrounds who are going to tell you all sorts of stuff. Oh, did you see this? You got to go see this when you get up that way. And that's where you want to have a list of alternates. Harvest hosts.
Yes.
We can save you 15%, I think, right now is our discount if you go to rvlifestyle.com/HH. But Harvest hosts, you can find places to stay. Boondockers welcome. Those are often free, usually free. Those are people who will let you stay in their property, on their property. Oftentimes they even have hookups. So be aware that there are alternates to the campgrounds if they're all filled. And then they say they're not boondockers by any means, but really boondocking's not that hard.
Yes, and what I'm thinking about is be weekend aware and be aware heavily populated areas, extremely popular places. Be aware of that. Have a little plan B. Be aware, like the Harvest host and everything that you've said.
Sure. And if you're going to be, you're going to be on the road, say, on a Thursday, well, a lot of people start booking weekend places on Thursday. So you may want to have a reservation Thursday night. And then, of course, Friday, Saturday nights are always busy. If you want to take a chance without a reservation, Sunday nights you can usually find a spot, and Mondays. So I think that's really a good tip, being weekend aware. So you can get your reservations for weekends, and then, if you get a spot, try and keep it for a weekend. More and more parks are making you rent the whole weekend now, too, by the way.
And, it sounds a little scary, boondocking, but if you're caught in a tight place and you can't find a place to go, a Cracker Barrel, or there's Walmart, or there's a lot of places, you need to be checking that out. Don't just park there. But there are places that you can pull in, which I don't think would threaten you. Be careful about rest areas, because a lot of rest areas won't let you spend the night, especially with that travel trailer. And the truckers, they need those spots too. So you'll figure it all out, but don't be worried.
But yeah, be flexible. Be aware of weekends. Have alternates like Harvest hosts and Boondockers welcome, and make your reservations for when you think it's going to be harder to find a spot. Make those in advance.
And I got to say, the first trip we went on, we wasted spots because we booked everything
Yeah.
in Yellowstone, and then we didn't have cell reception and we couldn't cancel, and it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, our first year was a disaster because we booked everything we could, and it took us maybe the first, as we started driving west, we made the first 1,000 miles fine, but then we decided, well, gosh, we don't want to stay one night, we want to stay two, and then what do we do about those reservations? And then you got to cancel them, and then you don't have a place to stay when you start traveling again. So you really have to come up with a plan that works for you.
Should I remind you that first trip too, we had all this media coverage,
Oh gosh,
and
that was
we
a
had to be
dreadful.
here and we had to be there so we could make these appearances here and there or be interviewed, and it
We had just started off,
was our first trip.
and I think we were at that time working with Family Motor Coach, FMCA. It's now FMCA, but it used to be called Family Motor Coach, and they had booked a media tour for us as we traveled across the country, and so we did interviews as we traveled along, and then their PR guy or whoever was setting them up called us, and he said we were in Casper, Wyoming, and he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity to go live at on the noon show in where was it? It was in
It was too far away, wherever
it was in Des Moines, Iowa. Tomorrow." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." We drove from Casper, Wyoming. It was a brutal drive. Got there for the noon show, went on live. We were on for 7 minutes, and that was it. And we got out of there. We looked at each other and we said,
And we're still married.
we did that for 7 minutes, But oh well. And then we went back. We actually backtracked because we missed so much driving from there. All that's to say is don't overcommit, and you can be more casual than you might initially think, right?
Well, you always make life exciting.
Well, that was a lesson learned. No more Des Moines, Iowa TV at noon when I'm in Casper, Wyoming the day before. All right. Hey, those are our questions. And we thank Keith and Pam for the kind note. And we invite you to send us your questions or your comments. You can reach us at Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com. That's the podcast for this week. We'll be back next week with more. Go camping this fall.
Happy trails.